Hello, welcome to my Disney doll channel, full of cute Disney things and just a ton of other Disney stuff. This video, if you've come to it from my personal channel, welcome back. As you can see, I have not changed. If this is your first time on my channel or you're just watching this video without that prequel, this video is going to be all about why I am not doing the Disney College program. Yes. So back in February, I applied, I was accepted, super excited, party, yay, for the fall Disney College program. My arrival date was August 10th. My role is attractions, which is the only role I actually talked about, my number one role. And from then on, things kind of just went a little downhill for me. Initially, I got accepted, it was like February 26th. That's not perfect, but it might be the right date. I was actually accepted. I got my acceptance email while I was in the hospital, being treated for Pseudomonas, pneumonia, the infections that having cystic fibrosis causes. I was really excited. I accepted it. I actually waited almost until the week deadline was up because I really wanted to think about it, and I still accepted the program because I really wanted to go. Yeah, so that was that. In beginning of April, okay, I was in the hospital in February for about 3 weeks, and my oxygen levels weren't so great, so I was on and off oxygen. I did manage to get off of it in time to come home, but it was about a month later, the beginning of April, that I was back in the hospital. I was really sick, probably worse so than the time in February, and I was back on oxygen again. I spent the whole 3 weeks, that's usually how long I do antibiotics. I spent the whole 3 weeks in the hospital. And at the end of that stay, I actually had a trip to Disney World planned for the Expedition Everest run. I'm a pretty stubborn person, so I spent a lot of my time in the hospital walking and trying to build back up so I could finish that 5K, because I was registered to run it with my friend Jen. I was really grateful I did get to finish and participate, and it was really hard, but I don't regret that at all. The week after that, I was home for a day, I think, and then I flew off to California with my friend Travis to participate in the Tinkerbell Half Marathon at Disneyland in California. And that's kind of where things took a turn for me again. Yeah. I was out running the 5K. Not running, okay, it was walking, let me be honest. Not up to the snuff to run. So I was walking my 5K, and it started to rain, which it's my own fault. There was rain in the forecast. I accept that. It was actually raining up until we walked out the door to go to the run, and I mentioned previously if it was raining, I was just going to stay in the hotel because it wasn't worth the risk of getting sick. Well, we were about halfway through the run, and it started to rain. And that kind of just did it in for me. I was pretty much sick the rest of the trip. I did try to participate in the 10K the next day. I was supposed to do the Pixie Dust Challenge. I made it to mile 3, and they said that I was going to be swept. So they said, keep walking, they're going to pick you up. And I was totally cool with this. I was exhausted, and I did not need that anymore. I was just over it. I was ready to accept my fate and be done. So I kept walking, another half mile, and they're like, oh, just keep going, right around this corner. A couple corners later, another half mile. We were finally swept at mile 4, I think it was. And it was great. never been so happy to sit down in my life. But anyway, I spent pretty much the rest of that day back and forth between the hotel room and the parks because it was my friend's first time going, and I felt really bad that I was sick, and I was disappointed that I hadn't made a better decision previously so I could enjoy more of the trip. I was running a pretty high fever that night, so the next day I didn't even get out of bed and attempt to go finish the half marathon. I mean, at that point, knowing you're not going to finish, it wasn't worth it to me to even try. And there'll be some people who think you shouldn't, blah, 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 always try your best. But then there are going to be some people who are like, you shouldn't have done the first one. Anyway, so that trip actually, being sick aside, I still think we had a great time. We rode pretty much every ride in California Adventure. And a handful of them at Disneyland, too. Anyway, regardless. I came home. I was home for about 3 or 4 days, and I was back in the hospital again. And I was in the hospital I thought I was just going to come home on meds, and the doctor on the floor was, like, extremely against it, which made me really upset and annoyed. So I just chilled in the hospital for 3 weeks. Yep, and the problem that I'm not getting to the real problem. The problem that I had is that my lung function, like the amount of, when you breathe in, the amount of space in your lungs that fill up with air, was dropping when I would get sick, and then it would not go up again. So last year around this time, I was in the mid-40s%, and in December, I got the flu really bad, the real flu, and it dropped down to the 20s, and it never went back up, so it was in the high 20s for like 3 months, 3-4 months. So at the end of my hospital stay in June, I had to do another lung function test, and they were really disappointed that it didn't move, maybe 0.5%. It increased like 0.5% maybe, but it hadn't really improved. They kind of accepted that that's what it was going to be because it hadn't dropped anymore. So I went home. While I was in the hospital in June, the doctor that I was seeing on the floor and my regular doctor I see in clinic kind of had a serious talk with me because the doctor on the floor just didn't think I was taking the situation as seriously as I should have been. He didn't think I was taking it as seriously. The doctor on the floor didn't think I was taking the situation seriously enough, and he felt that I did not understand where I was at in my life, which is kind of weird. To have someone tell you that they think you don't know what's going on. Really. It's kind of hard to explain because he felt that way, but I didn't feel that way at all. I'm morbidly honest about my life with CF and what it means and how it's going to get worse. I'm just like, there it is. So it doesn't faze me when people mention dying. It doesn't scare me a wink. I've kind of just accepted that's what that's what everyone's life's going to end up as eventually, but anyway, regardless. So I talked to my doctor on the phone, and between him, the doctor on the floor and then my personal doctor, they both just really kind of expressed that I was looking at a lung transplant if I wanted to have one. I was going to seriously need one probably within a year, definitely within 2 years, and that my life was not going to be very long without that. Yeah, it's kind of weird to say. Anyway, that's been my journey throughout this year with my CF, and I have gotten to a point where I'm just too sick right now, and the thought of trying to transfer doctors makes me a little skittish. I don't want to be in the health condition that I'm in and go see a doctor who doesn't know anything about, my personal condition with CF. So I'm just made the decision. I was going to keep my doctor. And initially I wanted to keep my doctor and just fly back every 3 months for an appointment, which wouldn't be a big deal. But I've been getting sick about once a month. Thankfully, July was great. No sick, nothing. So 1 month down. If I can make 2 more months, that would be great. And then I'll be back on my regular track. I don't want to commit to Disney that I'm going to work between 20 and 60 hours a week and then not be able to fulfill that requirement. I just don't feel that that's very responsible on my part. So, and that being, I'm a very stubborn, strong-willed, you do it anyway, no matter what kind of person on the average. So I know if I were scheduled hours like that to work, that I would work them regardless of how I'm feeling. So yeah, it's just not, I can't put myself in a position where I feel like I don't have any options, or I definitely didn't want to put myself in a place where I was the last college program I did and have to leave early, because that was, being there and having to leave was a lot more devastating than making the decision to not show up at all this time. So, with that being said, I recently got some new meds, and if you've watched the video on my other channel about this video, you will know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you're probably really confused, but I will post a link, like here, with the video that talks about it, a new med that is hopefully going to not just, like, change my life, but, like, maybe save it a little bit and extend it some. That'd be great. Which means that my dreams of living at Disney World are not completely abolished. I'm a never give up kind of person, so we're gonna find some way to make that happen. And this med is going to help out greatly. So yes, I have tons of trips planned right now to Disney. Well, actually, I only have one. That's not fun. But between the end of this year and through the end of next year, so far I have one trip to Disney World, hopefully a trip to Disneyland before this year ends. 60th anniversary, gotta go. Then I'll have another trip to Disneyland next September, and Disneyland Paris. Now, of course, all of these trips depend on me continuing to be semi-healthy, or at least the stable health that I have at this very point in time. But you can definitely look for updates from my trips and everything. And if you want to know more about me and my life with CF, you can check out my other channel. So yeah. Thanks for checking it out. I'll have more Disney videos up soon. Look forward to seeing some random videos from Disney World, Disneyland, and Disneyland Tokyo. So I'll be seeing you guys soon.